Feel it coming in the air.
Yeah.
Hear the screams from everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm addicted to the thrill.
I'm ready.
It's a dangerous
Son.
love affair.
Come on.
Can't be scared when it goes down. Got a problem? Tell me now. Only thing that's on my mind is who's
Son.
gonna run this town tonight.
Broadcasting live from the Mama Shore Sweet Tea Studios. This is SSL Live.
The pulse of the Sunday Showdown League. Alongside Josh Jablonski, I'm your host, Colin Elliott. Welcome to the second off-season edition of SSL Live. We have a full slate to talk about today, so we apologize in advance if this is a long podcast. We have a special guest joining us in a little bit to discuss the NCAA tournament later on in the show.
But first off, we want to thank all of you that listened to our first episode. We had a whopping 25 listeners on SoundCloud. And if Colin and I were to be honest, we were expecting eight tops, and we got to 25. Now, we understand that at least a quarter of those 25 people were Colin and I, re-listening to the show. But again, to all of you that listen, thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
And we're expecting to double each episode, so we're expecting 50 this time.
50, and eventually get some celebrity guests on the show. We almost had one this time around, but he backed out on me.
In my opinion, we have a celebrity guest today.
For sure, I agree 100%, and I'm really excited about our special guest later. But right now, we're going to talk about everyone's favorite reality show, The Amazing Race.
For those of you that were able to watch last night, you realized that the detour challenge they had to do was very difficult for everybody. Almost made the one mother-son combo quit the race. But it looked like we were going to have John and Jessica or Brenchel be eliminated last night. But as they came up to the pit stop, they found out that it was a non-elimination leg. So, to everybody's demise, Brenchel will be kept in until at least next week.
But by everybody's demise, we literally mean everybody's. Because I had a little conversation with our commissioner last night, because he wanted to know who got eliminated. And as you all know, Brenchel is his team, and even Michael was disappointed that Brenchel did not get eliminated. Michael's shooting for a low draft pick, it sounds, which is interesting strategy. Which I've even considered for my own fantasy draft purposes. But as far as Brenchel goes, no one's rooting for them. And honestly, I felt like their whole spiel last night with helping out the mother-son combo and then crying about it, about being in last place, and then praying and then crying some more. I honestly felt like it was staged. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, to be honest, I've kind of lost. I was already kind of negative on them, but I kind of was rooting a little bit for that mother-son combo. But now I kind of don't like either of the teams based on the things that happened last night. And I know it's hard maybe not to like that mother-son because of the deafness of the son. But just the way he was acting last night, I mean, he is a grown man, and it just seemed like he couldn't control himself. And it was a little bit of embarrassing.
Throwing glasses on the ground in front of everyone, and then
having to go into the bathroom and handle yourself. It was just kind of like, come on, bro.
Man up, bro. But anyways, as it stands for the SSL draft, Mr. Kevin Shores will be drafting 12th, followed by Caleb Polinsky, our star baseball player, by the way. Caleb's been tearing it up on the field lately for UNO. And then Ryan Bundy at the 10 spot. And then we'll find out about 9 next week. Maybe 8 if they kick 2 off.
I'm pretty stoked right now because based on what I've seen for what the draft could look like this next year, I'm really hoping for a top 3 pick. I'll just throw that out there right now. And my boys are kind of helping me out right now. I got the Cowboys, and we're currently sitting in first place. There's 2 other really competitive teams behind us, Atwell's father-son combo and the Afghanimals. It's looking good, and we'll have to see what the rest of the season holds. And, yeah.
Yeah, as most of you know, the Amazing Race actually opened up a pretty big door for the Sunday Showdown League a couple weeks ago. We're watching together. A few of us had a watch party. And whoever runs the Sunday Showdown League Twitter account tweeted, "Is anyone else's heart about to stop? Hashtag the Amazing Race. Hashtag SSL draft order." Next thing you know, there was a retweet from the Amazing Race account.
And it
then
blew up.
It blew up. Like, Twitter almost shut down because of this.
Whichever one of you runs this account, I give you props because you're just getting our league out there right now.
Major props. We had 9 retweets, 34 favorites, and then we had a few people actually having a conversation about the Amazing Race, including at Sunday Showdown 1 in their tweets. And for those of you that aren't part of our league but have Twitter, go ahead and follow the league account. It's
At Sunday Showdown 1.
Yep, it's very simple. And just a little bit more about the Twitter account. We're going to be talking about something that is making it. That's right. We're going to talk about the theories as to who runs the SSL Twitter account. I posted a little poll on our Facebook fantasy page, and Michael, James, and Caleb all pretty much threw Colin and I under the bus, which I don't know if they really have any basis to accuse us of running the Twitter account, but we did get a confession out of one league member, Mr. Shores, with the comment, yes and yes.
But more seriously, we know Mr. Shores, that was a good little joke there. I wish you did run it, though, personally. But according to Caleb, I just would like to say thank you for calling Josh and I the most intelligent people in this league, which I don't disagree with you on that. But I wish I could say that I did run this account, but unfortunately, I created an SSL Schefter account, kind of like a fake Adam Schefter from the ESPN account earlier in the year. And basically got overrun by this SSL Sunday Showdown account, whatever you want to call it. So I was a little frustrated with them, honestly, and if it was me, that'd be cool, but unfortunately my Twitter days of reporting are over. And I personally think it's James. See, the three of you, Caleb, Michael, and James, are kind of in cohorts together, and I think you guys are protecting him, and you're all three of us. It just makes sense. All three of you are throwing us under the bus, and all three of you are working together on it, but that's my theory, is that it's James. What do you think?
I like your theory, Colin. Honestly, though, I wouldn't be surprised if it was one of our dark horse sleeper league members, maybe a Bundy or an Outwell, that they like to stay under the radar. So they're tweet sniping at people. I've had the Twitter account be critical of myself. I know you've had it be critical of you
Multiple times.
And yeah, so we'll just wrap it up there because it's time for our special guest, the 2012 SSL champion.
I never fear death or dying. I only fear never trying. I am whatever I am. Only God can judge me now.
Mr. Kevin Shores, welcome to the podcast. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Of course, anytime. You know, we're here to talk about a couple different things with you. But first, we want to talk a little bit fantasy football. I know you had a little bit of an off year this year. Some of it probably attributed just to some down players, but also some of it maybe to some not so hot decisions on your part. We'd like to have a little segment here of how not to trade and what things you might change this upcoming year. What do you think?
Well, you know, when you have a team, you have to have a co-leader of your team.
I agree.
And for me, Tom Brady was my man, and my team was established around Tom Brady. And you know, if there's one thing that I learned from this season, and the commissioner himself says it all the time, and me being around him his whole life, just because we're related, it's finally put in my head, you can't play favorites in fantasy football. And that's what I did. I traded Miles Austin for...
Jordy Nelson.
I got Miles Austin and I traded Jordy Nelson. And you can't do that in this game.
I mean, I appreciated it, honestly, because I wanted a Packer on my team, and I know that you love your Cowboys, so I felt like it was a great trade, but unfortunately Miles Austin got injured, and that didn't turn out too well for you.
Yeah, it wasn't too hot, but I mean, I'll learn. Next year it won't be the same. No one expect to get trades from me. I mean, I'm going to be way more aggressive, and it's going to be a fun year.
What are you expecting for next year? Well, better question is, some people say that your team struggled because you built your team around Tom Brady. How are you going to react to those critics next year?
Well, I built my team around Tom Brady the year before that too, and look where that got me. My team is not bad. Tom Brady is a great leader, and just pieces didn't fall in the right places this year.
Okay. So if someone offers you an injured Rob Gronkowski for Marshawn Lynch, do you take that trade?
I can't answer that right now. It's not part of the season yet. Couldn't tell you.
Will you draft Adrian Peterson this year, if given the opportunity?
If given the opportunity, the 12th pick, if Adrian Peterson is still there, I will highly consider it.
Were you disappointed in Adrian Peterson's performance this year?
I wasn't disappointed in his performance. He got injured. He got hurt. It's part of the game, and something that I have to accept. But I mean, he did good for my team for a little bit. He had some down weeks, and when I traded him, it was his time to go.
Were you disappointed in Sean Swisham this year, who was your kicker for the first 4 weeks?
You know, that may be a funny question, you guys, but for me, the kicker position on my team is a very important position. And I definitely think Swisham only being on my team for 4 weeks this season, it definitely hurt me because the championship season I won, Alex Henry was my kicker all season long. And I think I have to have a consistent kicker that's going to stay on my team the whole season.
Good point. Thank you, Kevin. And now we'll talk a little bit about the Big Ten, just for you.
Kevin and I are big Big Ten fans here, being that I'm a big Nebraska fan and he likes Michigan. So the biggest question on my mind is, Kevin, what do you think about Nebraska ball's performance this season?
Wow, man. I mean, it's unexplainable how much they've improved since last season. I mean, I look at Tim Miles, and last year people were saying fire him. But I also look at my Michigan coach, John Beilein, in his second year at Michigan, people were saying fire him. And the season after that, just like this year with Tim Miles, he leads them to an NCAA tournament. So I love their play this year. I would not be surprised to see them further down the road, maybe another 2 years when Pettaway's a senior. But I definitely look forward to them playing in this NCAA tournament, and I think they can make a run.
How do you feel the Big Ten stacks up against some of the other major conferences in NCAA basketball, such as the ACC, Pac-12?
I think the ACC and the Pac-12 and the Big East and all those big conferences, they're good conferences. And the Big 12 is a good conference, and the Big 10 is a good conference. But if you look at the games before the conference game started, you see that the Big 10 only lost like 12 to 15 games out of every team that's in the tournament right now. And the Big Ten, their record doesn't show how good they actually are because they play against each other, which I believe is the greatest conference in America. And when they go up against non-conference teams, I think it's a no-brainer that they're better than the teams are going to think.
How do you explain the fact that the Big 12 then has 2 more teams in the tournament than the Big 10 does?
Big 12 doesn't have as many good teams in the league, so it's hard to win.
Why do they have more teams in the tournament then?
Because the Big 12 is not as good. In the Big 10, any team can beat you at any time. A Purdue or a Northwestern or an Indiana can beat a team at any time. And in the Big 12, if you're top, you're winning.
Last year, Kevin, you had a lot of haters because in your bracket you had an all Big Ten Final Four and you had Michigan winning it all. But what those haters failed to recognize is that you were oh so close to winning our bracket pool. You know, you only lost because Colin had Louisville winning it all and Louisville happened to win it all. So really, you were the expert on picking Big Ten teams, how is your bracket going to look this year as far as picking Big Ten teams in the NCAA tournament?
Well, I have a pretty close to a same bracket as last year. I have almost my whole Final Four is Big Ten teams. I'm not gonna reveal who because my expertise doesn't want to give away answers to people that are playing against me right now. But as a Big Ten fanatic, I am constantly studying these teams, following these teams on social media, watching interviews about them, and I know what's going on. I know about their chemistry and about what they go through on a daily basis, and I understand how good these Big Ten teams are.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your perspective, Kevin. And
we're happy to say Kevin will be sticking with us here for the final segment in the podcast today, and we will be breaking down game by game the NCAA tournament.
You ready? Let's go.
This is survival of the fittest. This is do or die. This is the winner takes it all. So take
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up.
and they stay there, and they stay there, and they stay there.
Welcome to the 2014 NCAA Tournament Breakdown. We're going to go region by region, break down the matchups for you, tell you what we think is going to happen, and hopefully help you win $1 billion here. So, for those of you following along at home with your brackets, we're going to start in the South region, where Florida is the number 1 team. Florida has the 16-1 matchup. They're going to face the winner of a play-in game. And I think we can all agree Florida will do just fine in that first round. Anybody have any qualms about that?
No qualms from me. What about you, Kevin?
Well, I think that Florida is going to be a good team in this tournament, and I think they'll be fine in the first round.
All right. And then next below them, we have the 8-9 matchup between Colorado and Pitt. Anybody have any thoughts on this game?
I'm going to go Pittsburgh. As a Husker fan, it's the battle of the two losers. Just hate Colorado from the old Big 12 days, and Steve Peterson is the athletic director at Pittsburgh. So I tend to root against both teams, but I'm taking the lesser of two evils here with Pittsburgh.
Kevin?
Pittsburgh is a big team. I got them in this game.
You know, I agree with you guys. Pittsburgh is 7-2 on the road, and I think road victories are going to be a huge determination in who wins in this tournament. They have only losses on the road are to UNC and Syracuse. So I think they're a pretty solid team, and you can see them in the next round against Florida.
And looking at VCU versus SF Austin here. This is kind of the big underdog matchup. VCU made it to the Final Four one year as a 12 seed, but now they're the 5, and SF Austin is the 12. Personally, I don't bet against Shaka Smart in the NCAA tournament, so I'm going VCU with the win here, and I'm pretty sure these gentlemen might disagree with me.
You know, here's the thing. VCU has some bad losses this year. They've lost to Northern Iowa, George Washington, Georgetown, and Florida State. And that's not acceptable if you're going to be a 5 seed and think you're going to go very far. And on top of this, SF Austin is 14-2 on the road this season and have not lost a game since November 23rd. They got the hot streak, and I'm pulling the upset with SF Austin.
I like SF Austin, too. They've lost 2 games this season. I could put them in the same skill level as Wichita State going undefeated, not playing a ranked team all season. This team is for real. This team is going to upset VCU.
All right. Kevin, what do you think about UCLA versus Tulsa?
I like Tulsa because
Enough.
I'm from Texas.
Different state, but thank
Okay.
you.
I got UCLA winning this matchup. They've hit their stride recently. Just won the Pac-12, and I got a good feeling about this team.
I'm with you. UCLA, they got too much. Ohio State versus Dayton. A little in-state rivalry here with the 6 and 11 seed matchup.
I know James was betting heavily on Dayton to win this one. Don't know if I agree, though.
What are you thinking? What's your pick?
I got Ohio State winning.
Kevin?
You can't not. You can't pick the Big Ten to lose in their second round.
Especially when Aaron Kraft is the
Aaron
point guard,
Kraft,
that senior.
Aaron Kraft is not going to lose to Dayton.
I agree.
He is not.
Sweep it. Syracuse versus Western Michigan. Kevin?
I'm going to go with the Orange this game, no question.
Josh?
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Syracuse.
They've staggered lately, but Jim Boeheim's got them under control, and we're going to do good. Moving down to New Mexico versus Stanford, the 7-10 matchup. This is interesting. Personally, the stats show that New Mexico is a much better team than Stanford, both on the offensive and defensive end. And I think this is going to show the result of this game. I think this is going to be a lot more lopsided than most of the 10-7 games. The only 2 road losses for New Mexico this year are against Boise State by 3 and against San Diego State, who's a 4 seed, by 1 point. So I think they're a solid team, and I think they're going to beat Stanford easily.
I'm with you on that one, Colin. New Mexico's dangerous. I can see them as a potential Sweet 16 team, so watch out for them.
I agree with you, Josh. New Mexico's going far this tournament.
And the final matchup is Kansas and Eastern Kentucky. Do we need to talk about this? Anybody have anything to say?
Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
We do.
Kevin?
I don't like Kansas in this game. I really don't. They're Joel Embiid, however you pronounce his last name, I don't care. He's injured. He's the projected number 1 draft pick of the NBA season next year. He's not going to come back till the second or third round. I don't think they're going to get the chance to play with him. I think they're going down.
Woo! Upset special.
Big 15-2 pick by Kevin. Interesting pick. I got to go with Josh on this one, though. Thinking Kansas will at least win 1 game. Moving into the round of 32 in this bracket, we have Florida versus Pitt. What do you guys think? Think Florida holds on?
Gator Chomp.
Gators to Sweet 16. Kevin, on board?
Florida.
All right, moving down. We have SF Austin versus UCLA based on our panel results here. SF Austin has the 12. UCLA is the high-powered 4 seed.
I'm going to go with UCLA, obviously, because I didn't even have SF Austin getting out of their game with VCU. So I'm going the Bruins on this one.
Kevin?
I got SF Austin.
Why?
They're going to come off hot with a win against VCU. They're going to take down the UCLA.
All right, that's fair. I got to say, I think it'll be UCLA, and I think UCLA has a chance to beat Florida in the Sweet 16, honestly. Bottom half of the bracket, Ohio State versus Syracuse.
I'm going Syracuse on this one. I've seen Ohio State a couple times this year, and I don't believe in their long-term future in the tournament.
But did you see them before the conference play started?
No, I did not. But I'm just not a fan of Aaron Kraft. I don't think the team has the stamina to make a tournament run, so I'm going with Syracuse.
Well, Josh, like I said earlier, you cannot play favorites in this game. You have to play who is the better team, who is going to score more points, and who's going to win. And in this game, Jim Boeheim, he's a good coach. Syracuse is a good team. I think they'd fit in perfectly in the Big Ten. But Aaron Kraft is not losing in that round. Not yet.
Okay, and Colin with the tiebreaker.
Syracuse. Jim
Ooh.
Boeheim. I don't go against Jim Boeheim.
Don't bet against Jim. There are certain coaches that you don't bet against. Jim Boeheim is one of them. All right, so now we have New Mexico versus Kansas. Colin?
I have New Mexico pulling the upset here. I made this pick solely on the fact that Embiid will not be back yet, and they played earlier this season. Kansas beat them pretty easily, but that was because Embiid had a huge game. So without him, I think Kansas struggles, and New Mexico pulls the upset.
And Kevin?
Lobos, baby.
It's unanimous. We're going New Mexico. Going to the Sweet 16.
All right, now we have just a couple more picks to make in the South bracket. I want to hear who each of you guys' Elite 8 teams are and who you have moving on to the Final Four. We'll start with Kevin.
I got Florida going against Tulsa, and I got Florida winning that matchup.
Florida and Tulsa cannot play each other in the Elite 8.
I'm looking at my Sweet 16.
That's all right. Who do you have playing Florida in the Elite 8?
My Florida game in the Elite 8 is against Ohio State, and I'm sorry, Aaron, but you're not winning a national championship. You're good, but you're not that good. And, so I got Florida over Ohio State.
All righty.
All right, I got Florida beating New Mexico. number 1 overall seed advances to the Final Four.
Fair enough. I also have Florida beating New Mexico in the Elite Eight. Number 1 overall seed cannot get knocked out that early. Next, we will move down on the bracket to the East region, where the 1 seed is the Virginia Cavaliers with a first-round game against Coastal Carolina. Kevin, you see an upset here?
I do not see an upset. I think this is they are what their name tells them. They're coastal, and they like the beach. They're just going to be cruising this game, and I don't see no upset. Virginia handles them.
All right, Virginia, easy pick. I'm curious when Virginia got basketball, because they won the ACC this year, and before this year, I hadn't even heard of them doing anything outside of baseball and maybe an occasional good football season. But big props to Virginia basketball, making statements this year. Colin?
I agree. Virginia, I don't think this one needs much more discussion. For me, this 8-9 matchup's very interesting. This is a Memphis team that's been kind of up and down versus a George Washington team that a lot of people like in this tournament. So what do you guys think about this 8-9 matchup?
This was, how people do their cool jersey or cool mascot pick. This was
Nobody does that.
Well, the non-experts do that. I decided to have one non-expert pick, and George Washington, father of our country, I picked GW to win this game.
Kevin?
Okay, Glenn Beck, just go ahead and bring politics into this. But I will never vote against Memphis in the first round. Memphis is winning this game, ever.
Memphis has beaten Louisville 2 times this year, and we all know how good Louisville is right now. I don't think Memphis gets beaten down by George Washington. Memphis the second round.
All right.
5 seed Cincinnati versus number 12 Harvard. Kevin?
There's a bunch of kids out there right now, so, Harvard. Harvard's a good team. They got a lot of good shooters on their team, but just like Pittsburgh, Cincinnati's got a lot of big people on their team, and that's what wins games in the NCAA tournament. Cincinnati's winning this game.
I'm picking Cincinnati. They're dangerous. Harvard will be a trendy upset pick, but they had their moment last year, so I don't think they'll be able to replicate it. And Cincinnati's very solid on the floor.
Cincinnati depends way too much on Mr. Kilpatrick, and I think Harvard's going to be able to shut him down and get the victory here. So I'm taking Harvard. Next, we have the number 4 seed Michigan State versus number 13 Delaware. Michigan State is quickly becoming one of the number 1 picks to win it all this year due to the fact that they're finally healthy. So what do you guys think? Anybody calling the upset here, or Michigan through to the next round easy?
I don't bet against Tom Izzo.
Michigan State is not losing. They can play this Delaware team 100 times. They will never lose. Not one of those games. No chance. Never.
Thank you. I agree with you, gentlemen. Let's do these next 2 games in a row. Both of you guys give me your thoughts on UNC Providence and Iowa State NC Central.
I was tempted to pick Providence in this game, but I think their one shining moment was the Big East Championship game. So I'm picking the Tar Heels. And also Iowa State. I believe Iowa State can go far this year.
I'm with you, Josh. I got the Tar Heels and Iowa State.
I also have the Tar Heels, but I'm going to have to say not so fast when it comes to the Hawkeyes. Not the Hawkeyes, the Cyclones. I apologize for that. Hawkeyes as well later on, but right now we'll talk Cyclones. NC Central is a good team. NC Central is 11-5 on the road this year, and they have a great defense, and I think they're going to be able to slow down Iowa State. And this is my 14-3 upset special, setting up around a 32 all-North Carolina matchup. UNC and NC Central.
Bold predictions there, my friend. So now we want to look at Connecticut, St. Joe's, and then also Villanova versus Milwaukee. Kevin, thoughts?
I don't know how you can pick against UConn or Villanova. Those 2 teams are powerhouses. They're going through.
Colin?
I actually have St. Joe's beating UConn, but I do have Villanova moving on.
And I'm with you, Colin, on St. Joe's. St. Joe's has hit their stride recently at the perfect time of the year, and I'm not going against Villanova in this one.
All right, there we go. We have our round of 32 set in the East bracket. Let's move on to the Sweet 16. Who do you think's moving on between Virginia and Memphis? Kevin.
I like Virginia. I mean, I don't bet against Memphis in the first round, but the Sweet 16, they're going down.
I'm with you, Kevin.
Virginia moves on. Quickly moving down, Cincinnati versus Michigan State.
Sparty. Go Sparty.
Sparty.
Get a Big Ten. Sparty.
All right. North Carolina, Iowa State.
I like Iowa State just because they beat Michigan earlier this season. One of their few non-conference losses.
I like the Tar Heels.
I'm a big believer in the Cyclones, and that's rare for me to pick against North Carolina, but I'm going Iowa State to win this one.
All right, then we have St. Joe, Villanova on the bottom.
I like Villanova.
Villanova.
Nova. Moving on, I want to hear the Elite Eight and Final Four team from Kevin, then Josh.
Well, I got Michigan State going up against Villanova in the Elite Eight, and like you said earlier, Michigan State, hottest team in the nation, I believe, right now. They're going to the Final Four.
I got Michigan State versus Iowa State, with Iowa State surprising everyone getting to the Final Four.
I'm right along with Kevin on this one. Michigan State Nova with Michigan State winning. None of us have the number 1 seed in the Elite Eight. All right, we are halfway done, moving across the bracket now to the Midwest, where the all-important and ever-mighty Wichita State Shockers sit at the number 1 seed.
Are they going to shock the world this year? We'll find out. Obviously, I don't think anyone is going to pick Wichita State to lose right away. So I got them winning. Kevin?
You know, I got Wichita State winning this first game, but this might as well be a 16 versus 16 seed team, I think. Wichita State went undefeated, and congratulations to them. Good job to their team, but Creighton left their conference. They had no one to play. That's why Creighton thought they were so good last year, because they won their conference every year. And then they moved to a better conference, they did good, they went to the championship, but still. Creighton left, and Wichita State was wide open. They can be undefeated every year if Creighton's not in their division.
All right.
All right. Kentucky versus Kansas State. Oh, wait, Colin, we need your pick here.
I'll take Wichita.
All right, that's what I thought. All right, Kentucky, Kansas State.
Kentucky, baby.
I'm going Big 12 here, Kansas State.
I think Kentucky wins the game. They're too talented.
Yeah, this was a tough one for me, but... All right, next one. St. Louis versus the winner of NC State and Xavier.
I have St. Louis winning. I know they've faltered here and they don't have the highest schedule, but I feel like the Billikens will get 1 win out of this.
Kevin?
If Xavier goes to play St. Louis will win. But when North Carolina State goes to play St. Louis, North Carolina State is going to win this game.
I'm with you, Kevin. Going with the Wolfpack. They have a solid team this year that can do it.
All right, and we have the ever-scary 14-3 matchup with Louisville involved. They've burned my bracket a couple times. Yeah, the 4-13 matchup, that's what I said. But anyway, Louisville is actually playing one of Rick Pitino's old assistant coaches in Manhattan this year. So that could give Manhattan a little bit of an edge. But I think Louisville moves on.
Yeah, I'm going Louisville. They're pretty angry right now that they didn't get that 1 seed. So I think they can make a little run.
You know, Louisville's winning.
Yep.
All right, UMass versus the Iowa-Tennessee winner.
I don't believe in either Iowa or Tennessee, so I'm picking UMass. And UMass is supposed to be a really fun team to watch.
Kevin?
I like UMass, but I think Iowa's going to put up a good fight.
So who's your winner?
UMass.
I think Iowa will win that game.
Ooh.
I think Iowa has the 3-point shooters to win a basketball game, and I see them matched up against Duke in the next round.
More balls than me, man.
All right, so we got Duke versus Mercer. Going Coach K here. Dukies.
Kevin?
I think we're in order. KKK, Coach K.
Coach K for the win. Moving down. Texas versus Arizona State, the 7-10 matchup. Longhorns or Devils. Who do you got, Kevin?
I like the Longhorns, man. They started out strong, got on a little cold streak, but I think they'll win this game.
Josh?
Yeah, let's leave race hate groups out of this conversation, but I'm going to pick Texas.
Longhorns for the victory. And Kevin, we're not going to ask you about this next game, but Josh, who do you think here the 2:15 matchup?
Michigan.
You know, I'm really tempted to take Wofford in this matchup. I think Kevin's overlooking them right now, and the whole state of Michigan is overlooking them.
I think you're underlooking Michigan.
But I'll say go blue, and Nick Skouskas puts up a good game here, and they win by 3.
No, I want to talk about this.
Go ahead.
Michigan, the experts are saying that they should be a 6 seed. And before the Big Ten championship game, they were saying if they won that game, they were going to be a 1 seed. They are not an overrated 2 seed. I don't care what anybody says. They are the best team in this region. Moving on.
All right. The round of 32 is set in the Midwest. We have Wichita State versus Kentucky at the top. Kevin?
I like Kentucky. Wichita State is a team.
I'm going Wichita State here.
Shockers make it to the Sweet 16. NC State versus Louisville.
I'm going Louisville again. That the anger factor, plus these guys have been here. I'm not saying they win it all or even get back to the championship, but I like them to win a few games.
I like Louisville just because I like the Louisville Sluggers bat.
I think Russ Smith leads them to the Sweet 16. Louisville all the way. UMass versus Duke, 6-3 matchup. Kevin, what do you got?
I got Duke. Coach K.
Coach K, going Duke.
The game's in North Carolina, almost a home game for Duke, so I don't think there's much of a chance they don't make the Sweet 16. And down at the bottom, we have Texas versus Michigan. Kevin?
You know, man.
Texas?
Michigan.
All right.
I'm going Michigan.
Go blue. And you guys know the drill. I want the Elite 8 and your Final Four team from this region. Kevin, let's start with you.
Well, my Elite 8 is Kentucky versus Michigan. And I'm not going to put Michigan going to the Elite 8 and then lose. They're not losing. They're going to the Final Four.
All right. Fair statements.
I have Louisville playing Michigan, and I'm taking my fellow Big Ten brothers' opinion here. Michigan going to the Final Four.
Interesting, gentlemen. Interesting. I think Michigan is a little bit down from last year. I don't think they have all the weapons they had. So I do have them making the Elite 8, but I think Louisville and Russ Smith is too much for them, and that's where they end their season.
It's interesting you say that because Louisville's not who they were last year either.
You're right. They're better.
And Russ Smith is a J.R. Smith. He's a spitfire ball. He can do good one day, and he'll suck the next game.
Russ Smith has played good every game this season.
Don't expect nothing more from him than an average game every game.
Oh, yeah, you'd say Louisville's better, but they're not in the Big East anymore.
Well, the conference doesn't make
They're in
a
the
team.
AAC. Yeah,
Conference does make a team. Look at Nebraska.
Conference definitely makes the team because they're not playing as good a teams as they were playing last year. And
Wichita State made the Final Four last year in the Missouri Valley. Did the Missouri Valley make them a Final Four team?
Creighton did.
Great.
That's why they're
Great.
not.
One other team made them a Final Four team.
That's their conference, Creighton and Wichita
Oh.
State.
All right. Enough bickering. Let's move on to the West region. Arizona is in the 1 seed, playing Weber State in the first round. I have Weber State pulling the upset. Just kidding. What do you guys think?
I got Arizona.
I don't even know what a Weber is. I'm going with Arizona.
All right, this next one should be interesting. Gonzaga versus Oklahoma State. Colin?
I have the Zags winning this game. I think Oklahoma State is 2 different teams. We don't know who's going to show up, so I'm going with Gonzaga.
Kevin?
I like the good Oklahoma State team in this one.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Kevin. I think Marcus Smart will play with some fire. Okie State moves on. So, Oklahoma versus North Dakota State. Kevin?
Man, I'm going with North Dakota State. I like these small states going up against big states. It's going to be a good one. North Dakota State.
All right, Colin?
I like Oklahoma in this matchup. They're a high-powered offense, lots of assists. I think that's very important, and I think they're going to beat North Dakota State.
And I'm going to side with Kevin here. I got North Dakota State pulling up the 12-5 upset. You got to pick one, at least one every year, and I think this is the one.
All right, let's move on down to San Diego State versus New Mexico State.
I like my New Mexico State boys.
Ooh, Kevin with the upset. San Diego State's burned me before when filling out brackets, but I've watched them a couple times this year, and I like what I see, so I'm going to pick San Diego State to win.
I have to take San Diego State to win one game at least. They're 9-2 in the road this year, and I think that helps propel them here in this neutral site. Next down, we have a very interesting portion of the bracket for all of us here in Nebraska. We have Baylor versus Nebraska and Creighton versus Louisiana Lafayette. So, gentlemen, feel free to take a minute on this one and explain to us who you have winning each of these games and then who you have winning the second round matchup here.
Okay. I'll start here, except I'm going to start with Creighton. Just get it out of the way. Creighton's going to win. No one cares, though. But Nebraska ball here, it's obvious I'm a fan. Everyone knows that I've been a fan of Nebraska ball since I was born. And this moment here is like my one shining moment when it comes to basketball, just being able to fill out this bracket. And I'm going to pick them to beat Baylor. I believe in what Tim Miles is doing. And I think they're going to bounce back from that Ohio State game. They got kind of nervous on the big stage. Well, they're on a bigger stage now, but I think they'll learn from their mistake last time against Ohio State. I think Nebraska ball closes out the deal and beats Baylor. Kevin?
I like Nebraska. They're a good team at home. They're not very good on the road. They're not very good on a neutral site either. But they've never won a game in the NCAA tournament. They're going to beat Baylor. And, Creighton's going to have an easy game first game. But they're going to meet up with Nebraska, and I think Nebraska makes history and beats Creighton.
Bold prediction from Kevin with Nebraska into the Sweet 16. Now, I think this is a good year of first for the state of Nebraska with basketball. This is the first time in 16 years that Nebraska has made the NCAA tournament, and I think it's an accomplishment for them to do so. And I do think Baylor will beat them here. But congratulations to them for making it. And I also think this is going to be the first time in the school's history that Creighton makes the Sweet 16. I have Creighton beating Louisiana Lafayette and then going on to beat Baylor to make it to the Sweet 16.
And I guess I need to give the deciding vote as to who will win or who will advance to the Sweet 16. I hate saying this, but it's going to be Creighton. I'm sorry,
Little
Timmy.
faith in the Big Ten. Little faith.
I know I'd love to pick Nebraska ball, but realistically, for the integrity of the show and moving forward here, we'll just say Doug McDermott gets Creighton to the Sweet 16. But it's going to be a close game. You watch. Nebraska ball is going to be making waves, and next year we'll be in the Elite Eight for sure.
I agree.
Final two games of the first round here, we have Oregon facing up against an injured BYU team and Wisconsin taking on American. Kevin, what do you think about these two games?
If BYU had Jimmer Fredette, I'd be all over them, but I got Oregon in this game.
Okay, and you have Wisconsin keeping their 2 seed?
I do have Wisconsin.
Yep, go Ducks and go Bucky Badger.
All right, I'm in agreement with both of you on that one. Who wins when they match up in the second round?
Big Ten, Wisconsin.
Bucky Badger.
I think Wisconsin's defense is too tough. Let's move back up to the top now for the Sweet 16. Who's going to make the Sweet 16 between Arizona and Oklahoma State?
I like Arizona. They're a 1 seed. They're going to prove it.
I'm with you, Kevin. Arizona all the way.
Not that it matters because my vote doesn't count now, but upset special Oklahoma State. Calling it now.
Yeah, very, very bold call, but 1 seeds can go down in that second round. Let's go last matchup here. North Dakota State versus San Diego State. Who makes the Sweet 16?
I like North Dakota State just because I didn't pick either of these teams.
I'm going San Diego State.
And in my own bracket, I have Oklahoma, but I will go San Diego State between these two teams here. And then you guys know the drill. Last time, your Elite Eight and your Final Four from this bracket. Josh, let's start with you.
All right, I got San Diego State advancing to the Final Four. And then in Creighton versus Wisconsin, I don't think Creighton can withstand playing two Big Ten teams in a row. So I got Wisconsin beating Creighton, and then my big surprise of the bracket, San Diego State going to the Final Four.
You heard that right. He has San Diego State in the Final Four.
Well, that's a big. You got some big balls, Josh. My Elite Eight for this round is going to be Arizona going up Wisconsin, and I look at these two teams and see the exact same team. I think they're looking in the mirror when they play each other, and I think it's going to go all the way down to the wire until the last shot. Wisconsin's going to the Final Four.
I have the exact same Elite Eight as you do, but I have Arizona going to the Final Four.
Fool.
How do we decide this one?
Fool.
You make the deciding factor. Since we had the same Elite Eight, who do you think, if Arizona and Wisconsin match up, who will go to the Final Four?
I've seen Wisconsin play, and they're good, but I don't think they're Final Four good. We're going to go Arizona.
All right, so here's your Final Four. You guys can each give your own bracket, who you have coming out into the championship game and the champion. Kevin, go ahead.
I have Wisconsin playing Michigan in the Final Four, and I have Michigan winning at 58-57 going to the national championship. And then on the other side, I have Florida playing Michigan State, and I have Michigan State by 3. And so my national championship is Michigan State versus Michigan, a rematch of the Big Ten championship. Highly anticipated game for the Big Ten championship. It's a highly anticipated game right now for the national championship because I know it's going to go down. But I got Michigan winning that game 76-71. Go Blue and go Nick Stauskas, Big Ten Player of the Year.
All right, Kevin, obviously a homer here. I have Florida beating Iowa State to go to the national championship, and then my surprise team, San Diego State, upsetting Michigan. But I don't think San Diego State has enough power to win the national championship, so Gator Chomp, Billy Donovan gets his 3rd national championship, Florida wins.
And we all have different championship games here because I actually have Michigan State taking on Arizona in the championship, and I think the Wildcats will come out on top here. So the Pac-12 will prevail, first time in a while, and I think they'll surprise the world here. I think they're being kind of underrated. I think Tom Izzo gets the championship, but he doesn't have quite enough to win it all. So yeah, there you go. We have a Michigan victor, a Florida victor, and an Arizona victor. It'll be interesting to see how these next 3 weeks play out. We hope all of you will join into our bracket pool. Contact Kevin or myself if you'd like to get in before Thursday at noon Eastern time, 11 o'clock Central here in Omaha, Nebraska. And $20, paper brackets. And if you have any questions about the scoring, you can contact us. But yeah, get yourselves in and let's get this going.
And this has been another edition of SSL Live. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you to our 2012 SSL champion Kevin Shores for joining us today. Until next time.
Now it shows in one shining moment.